Welcome back to my big fat supernatural podcast, the quadruple feature. Balin and I sat through 4 episodes in a row, which is quite a sit considering supernatural state these days, but
Yeah, I used to be able to do that quite easily with the earlier stuff.
yeah, it used to be we could breeze through a bunch of them and it was fine marathoning it, but it's like pulling teeth trying to get through it nowadays. We had a lot of variation this time around, so we're just gonna go episode by episode, which I wrote down notes for each one.
One of my favorite thing about the 4 things is it's like, oh man, we got this angel in our team and he doesn't do anything. What a stupid waste. Anyway, does not appear in the next 3 episodes.
Yeah, he was only in the one. So, okay, that was the first one, which is the one, it was Our Little World, aka a plot-heavy one, which means that it is absolutely crap. Yeah, they have the thing with Castiel, where they say, oh, it seems stupid that we have an angel on our team, and then we always leave him on the bench, let's do something. And they call him, and then they proceed to do nothing with him, and then he disappears for the next 3. But he discovered YouTube, I guess.
He discovered YouTube to watch old talk shows in standard def.
Yeah, because he was watching a full screen thing on a widescreen TV, so it must have been old. But he was acting like it was new, which means he must have found it on YouTube or something.
Yeah. Then he told Dean all his base belonged to him. That's where I caught up to with memes. And then the darkness is like, I'm catching up on memes too! And they added each other on Facebook.
Yeah, she was watching memes like, the show, it's so irritating when the show tries to be hip, but then they reference things like it's the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Everyone's so out of touch with the writing on this, it's embarrassing.
I just added the darkness on MySpace.
Yeah, they might as well have been doing a MySpace reference. I mean, and like, Crowley continues to be so lame, but it's so... his motivations are so ambiguous and not purposefully, it's just not written well.
Yeah, this first episode, apparently all he wanted to be was a daddy.
He's waiting in the dark, in the darkness. He's waiting there with the light, like, how late have you been out, young lady? And he's like reading teen parenting books during, by the way, okay, I don't know if we've mentioned this before, we probably have, but the fact that they have a soul quota in hell, apparently, they have meetings for this.
Yeah, it reminded me of Ghost Ship with the stupid boatload of souls. Gotta fill my quota.
Who has this quota? Who is determining how many they need? He is the king of hell. So who is his boss?
We still gotta answer to the shareholders.
Like, what the hell is Supernatural even doing? It's not even like...
shareholders.
It's not even like funny in an ironic way. Like, it's confusing why they bother with this. Like, they're trying to be like, aha, hell's like a business, but it's like, no, you're not going anywhere with it. It's just rambling nonsense.
Yeah, it's still asinine that hell's business is conducted on Earth.
Yeah, well, they threw in an explanation
for
it, which was
know where
stupid.
This place is, and it was better when we were making up that it was underneath a pizzeria.
Yeah, here's how they solve it, okay? They just go like, we need to find him. Here's a bunch of activity that's been going on around Crowley on this map here. This asylum looks interesting.
You put on his Facebook, at the asylum.
At the asylum. They might as well have. They just go like, here's the first place we could think of. Here's an asylum. That seems like somewhere he'd go. First place they guessed. They're correct. That's how they solve it.
Yeah, I missed that first, and then you told me that. I was like, I didn't really want to believe. I was like, that's not really how they found where that was, right? They didn't just go, oh, that seems like a place he would be. Oh, it was.
But nope, that was atrocious writing. I mean, I know we're going on. I know we're going on about how the storylines are stupid or they don't go anywhere, but like that's, I think, a lot of things culminating into badness. But that's just bad writing. Like it horrible even for the show now. Like to be that stupid.
Crap! Like that. It shouldn't have been that easy. Like I
That's
assume there's a big sign covering up the old asylum one that they like drew in crayon and taped over the old asylum one that says Hell Corp. And like, oh yeah, that's probably the one with the little Hell Corp, little smileys on it.
I mean, this is where they're conducting business in hell, and it was that easy to find them. And they
Uh,
okay, they have an explanation. They throw in an explanation in this why Crowley conducts his business
Mobsters
on
are
Earth.
harder to find. Just regular Earth criminals are harder to find than the fucking King of Hell.
They have an explanation for why he conducts his business on Earth, and it's stupid. Like, we always make this joke about why they're there, but they threw in this line basically for people who are like, huh? Like us? They
Yeah.
go, why doesn't he just keep Amara in hell instead of keeping her on Earth? Well, Crowley hates that place, so he doesn't want to spend his time there. That's it. That's her explanation. It's like, what? Okay, yeah, I'll get that he hates it because he seems to hate everything now, but why did he want to be the king of hell in the first place? Doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
it hurts trying to think of this is the King of Hell. Oh, but he doesn't like hell. He doesn't go there.
He doesn't like it, so he conducts his business from Earth in this
What?
asylum that's easy to find.
What the fuck is that?
What is
What is
any of
any?
this? It's just,
Mm, just like that episode also just has you're grounded and it's his special grounded powers and Crowley's fucking force powers are very inconsistent. He seems to be super powerful with them now versus what he'd been like any time before this for a while.
Yeah, it's super inconsistent. He has had those force powers before. I know. I can't name a specific
Yeah,
time, but
but
I'm certain
they've
he's
beaten
had
the
them.
shit out of him, and no, he hasn't just been so easily been able to pin them against a wall the way he has lately. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're coming after me? Nope.
Well, it's hard to keep track of who has what powers when because they do sort of do things like, oh, he was kind of depowered for a bit because of the blood thing or whatever, but then maybe not, and then maybe a blood addiction, and I don't know. It's hard to keep track of who's
Yeah.
got what
His
powers
sort of
when.
what was it? What was the thing called that Sam started on him? That semi purification or whatever.
Yeah.
Purify demon, which led to we don't know where we're going with this, so let's kind of sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, which is why it's hard to keep track because a lot of the time there's no payoff to any of these and they're drawn out and then you sort of like you're like what happened with that? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I've always been complaining about since we've been doing this is how wishy-washy they are with where Crowley stands. And the
Yeah.
2 episodes we watched where he did anything, he is on basically the opposite side.
Yeah, well this episode when he's taking care of the darkness and then Dean and Sam just so easily get in there and it's
Yeah.
like what?
Oh, well, now I wish I had any form of basic security, but
Yeah.
this is just Hellcorp. Fuck me.
I mean like that was so easy. Like other seasons, that would have been like a season ender or a middle of the season, like dun
Yeah.
dun dun, big build up to getting in there. But they just
Yeah,
randomly
you're
get in
fucking
there.
shitting away two major things. Like, first,
Yeah.
even fucking finding it, and then two, it's so damn easy to get in there, which is the problem with Hell that one time Sam found Bobby on the third door to the left.
Yeah. Speaking of Bobby, still in heaven jail, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
we'll get to that when you fucking forget.
But okay, so Dean and Sam get in there, and then Dean is going to kill the darkness, but he can't because they're connected. Dun dun dun. And Crowley comes in there, and I knew when he was saying it too that they were going to be wishy-washy. He was only saying it simply so that they could like have the darkness protect him or whatever. Like I knew this was a meaningless thing when he's just like, "Oh, I've danced around killing you, and we were bro TP, whatever. But then I think now I'm ready to kill you." And it's like, no, he's not really. It's just so the darkness could fuck him up and then mess him up and. That's what she does. She's like, oh no, Crowley, I don't need your protection anymore, and protects Dean. And then the next time we see Crowley, he's just like, whatever, I guess we're teaming up again. No motivation to kill him again whatsoever. It's just back to the status quo.
When we go to that one, there's quite a bit that seems like it was missed.
Oh yeah, there's a ton to talk about in that one, but I just bring it up now to contrast with what was happening in this one.
Yeah.
But
No, just this one, I don't know. I don't understand the super parenting want that he has for this episode, and just like he begs her to like slow down just because he wants to, I don't know what, parent her apparently.
it seemed
Like,
like that was trying to lead up to something that it didn't lead to.
yeah, like the next time you see him, that's completely out the window. So whatever that was building to, it's gone.
Yeah,
If it ever
it
was.
was just the same scene with those two over and over again, and then it was done.
Uh-huh.
So it was like it wasn't even like interesting. It could be like, oh, this is an interesting dynamic, and then they betray each other, which you knew was going to happen anyway. But it was just like, all right, I guess that was pointless.
I guess before we move on to the next one, Castiel beat up Booger a bunch.
Well, okay, they have this whole thing where Sam and Dean have these new rules about maybe trying to not kill everyone, which is what we've been complaining about, which is nice.
Yeah,
But then
that
they
was
choose
good.
they choose not to torture this guy, but they kill him because they find out like his vessel's dead anyway. But then they cut to Castiel torturing Booger, and he's like beating him up. And Booger, okay, no one wants
Well,
Megatron
he
back.
deserves it. So.
Well, he deserves it. It's not that we don't want to see Megatron beat up, it's we don't want to see Megatron. And his story's done. There's no point to this. And they brought up, okay, he's like some videographer. He decides to be, because, by the way, this is low profile, him hiding from all the angels, working for a news network, where Castiel finds him on the news randomly by chance in a reflection. But they bring up the fact that the thing that they didn't follow through with, where Megatron knows where the demon tablet is, which we just forgot about. Did you even remember that was a thing?
No, I forgot about that.
They brought it up.
That was the best part of their whole thing, though, when Megatron's like, "Oh, you'll never find it." He's like, "I found it under your pillow."
Yeah, it was in his bed the whole time. And it's like, wait a minute. This was a build-up for a season.
Yeah.
And then we forgot about it because you don't follow through with anything. And that's your conclusion. It was under his mattress. And that's where he found it. Like, when you say that a show's a joke, because it's just like, this is a joke at this point. I mean, like, literally, it sounds like it's a parody of Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it sounds like this is what you would write if you were making fun of the show. Like, and then he found it under his mattress. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But he does.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure that'll lead up to something satisfying.
There's one thing too, while Megatron's still doing his stupid videography crap, and there's a guy he thinks is dead, which he thinks is going to be prime footage, but then he's alive. He's like, "Oh no, this isn't good footage. I can only give the news dead people footage, apparently." But then he's like, "Oh, at one time I could have healed you, but I wouldn't have. But I'm not that man anymore." I'm like, what? What the fuck? Like, usually when a character says something like that, it means they've changed and they would have done something, but now they won't. But he's saying, well, I wouldn't have before, but I could have, and now I won't, but I can't anyway.
Basically, he's saying, like, I would have let you die either way.
Yeah, like, there's no point to that.
And he has that, when he's getting beaten up by Castiel, he's crying about making rent.
Yeah.
And, what was some of the other lines? Oh, charging his phone. Like, just weeping about this.
Oh, yeah. He didn't have to do that stuff before.
But now he does. And they have this whole thing about, Castiel is broken now. He has PTSD over what happened with that spell with Rowena, which is more than they gave us after he had the Leviathans in him and he made himself God.
Yeah.
There was more fallout from, like, Rowena's stupid spell.
And came back from that.
Yeah.
That was mostly okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's nice to have some follow-through with something, but it seems like that wasn't a big enough deal to have sort of fallout with that. I mean, it'd be nice.
That's the problem when you've done something bigger already, and then you go, and then this little thing affects them more.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the problem with the show now, but especially the last episode we watched, which we'll get to when we get to that one, but that's sort of the biggest issue, that everything seems so small now. So, one last thing about this episode, unless there's anything else you want to cover, but, We find out about the darkness from Megatron that she is God's sister.
Yeah.
Stupid. Stupid. You know, like, I don't know if that was the particular moment that I had that reaction, but I know at many points while watching these episodes, all I could do was just, like, sigh. Like, I'm sure this was meant to be a shocking revelation, but it's like, guys,
Yeah.
can we not? The next one was Plush.
Poop Creek.
Poop Creek, yeah, that's the highlight of that one. Honestly, that one was such a filler episode. I don't have much to say on it. I didn't hate it,
not really.
but there's not a lot to cover. That was where they have the mascot. Masks are haunted by Chester the Molester, who may have not been a molester. I don't know. I kind of tuned out a lot.
Yeah, they
what
kind
were
of
saying.
left that open, I guess, whether he actually did it. I don't know. Didn't seem like they definitively said or not.
But I guess the point is, we didn't really care if he was a
Yeah,
molester or not.
some of the masks were sort of creepy, I guess, but I mean, it's not a good enough story to carry anything.
Yeah, they brought back Donna, that cop who was teaming up with Sheriff Mills that one time. And it was nice to see her again. It wasn't a particularly interesting story. It had some things to it, but it wasn't like much to say.
Yeah, it's okay.
They had that scene in the elevator with the clown
Yeah,
mask.
that was the dumbest thing though, where Sam's fear of clowns paralyzes him like, suddenly, and like he lets this clown walk in with a bloody scalpel, and he could be killed.
Yeah,
Like
like
he could have just turned around and swung and slit Sam's neck. Like he lets him walk in, within stabbing distance. Idiot.
yeah, he just sits there and like I realize like, that's something they've established on the show, but like that was in season 2. And that was 9 years ago in real time.
Yeah.
This is not just showtime. This is in real time. We have watched the show for nearly a decade, and they have established that he got over his fear of clowns, or at least, it was able to fight a thing that was a clown, even though he was afraid of them. So, I mean, we know he's afraid of them, but not to, like, being crippled by it. And I'm pretty sure there was an episode that had that had clowns in it again, too. That was some theme thing that had it, that I can't recall the name of, but before the show went completely up shit creek.
Yeah.
But that just seemed like a step backwards, which is weird. Yeah, Poop Creek. Poop Creek. I do like the way that she talks. It's kind of refreshing having that character. But oh, and the kid in that one, he looked like he was made of plastic.
Yeah,
Very, very uncanny valley looking child.
the ghost haunting the mask, like I guess is sort of nice to see a ghost plot again, but it felt like an earlier season thing with ghosts like that.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to do like a callback, and it definitely did seem like old school, but it didn't seem like they did enough with it to make it interesting during a lot of lulls with it.
Yeah, I mean, it had enough decent moments, I guess. It makes it solid okay.
Yeah, I mean the masks were creepy, so the parts that actually involved the ghost attacking were fine. So yeah, I think that about covers that one. We don't need to spend too much time on it.
Imaginary friends.
Yes, just my imagination. I loved that one actually. I don't know about you.
I liked it alright, yeah.
I think it was because I liked the imaginary friend, the guy who was playing Sully. I thought they did a really good job with the character scenes with him. He was just a one episode character, but like I really liked the scenes with him and Sam, where it was sort of talking about how he helped him when he was a kid and helping him move on. And they did a parallel story there with the two characters. And they did a good job with it, like compared to like when they did that Ghostfacers one, where they tried to do the parallels in that Slender Man thing, and they did it really badly. Like this was in comparison, that was a better done thing in this one.
Yeah, miles better.
They had a lot of funny setups in it too, I thought.
Yeah, Dean bugged me in some of it.
Oh, when he's being really insensitive and like, let's just kill them.
Yeah, it was fucking miserable version of Dean still. Just let's kill everything. Who cares? Like,
Yeah.
what?
No, I agree.
Like, I feel like this character just fucking keeps stalling back to somewhere near the beginning. It's like, fuck. How many times does this guy need to learn that? Every life is important, but no. Audrey, kill him. And then, like, after Sam gets him to at least come and help him on this case, finding out who's killing these imaginary friends, he's still making cracks like, flush her down the toilet.
Yeah, some of them were funny. I agree he was an asshole in it. I liked the scene where he comes in when Sam's in the kitchen with Sully and he can't see him, and then Dean comes in a robe. And he sees all the candy and stuff, and he's asking him like if he's having a stroke or whatever. Because I don't know, it seemed weird that he had a robe even. It seems like he's always like either sleeping in like boxers or just his clothes or whatever. But then like he's like a robe. It's such an older person thing to do. I don't know. It just seems strange, but I liked it anyway. That's just me being nitpicky and weird, but they had that scene where the mom's walking around in the imaginary friend blood, but she doesn't know that it's there because she can't see it, and she's like wiping it on her face, and there's like all these sparkles in it.
Yeah, that was funny.
Because some of them, I did like the contrast of like the funny kids stuff with like Sam punching him in the face because he sneaks up on him, or like the dead mermaid in the pool. I mean, like that was kind of a good use of their dark humor in contrast to really ridiculous situations.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things that did work.
Yeah. That one felt a bit like an old callback thing, but they did it in a more interesting way than the mascot one. Mm-hmm. Like, because they did have a more personal element to it.
Yeah, they had something different too. That's not just like something related to demons and angels again.
Yeah, and I thought it was silly, that imaginary friends are real, but they did come up with an explanation for it that made it make sense in their universe, which didn't seem completely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting, I guess, that they were getting murdered and they had to figure out who's killing imaginary friends.
Yeah. Well, and the explanation that they ended up having for like who was killing them and why, I thought that was kind of touching the way that they did that. Like the acting was really good by the girl who played Reese, I think was her name, the twin sister, and it felt like they added more to their past without retconning anything or going like, oh, by the way, they knew so and so before they knew so and so or anything like that. They sort of added that Sam had an imaginary friend and that helped him through his kind of shitty childhood.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense for a kid like that.
Yeah. He considered Sam one of his greatest failures. But not the greatest failure.
Just look at him.
Just look at him. Well, when they had that scene where Sully's talking to him and Sam's basically apologizing for being an asshole to him as a kid, saying like, "I'm sorry I let you down," and he's talking about how he's had these bad times, and he's like, "Oh, you saved the world, Sam." He's like, "Well, there's been bad too," and it's like, "Oh, well, don't sell yourself short, Sam. You only like almost ended the world a bajillion times, set the devil free, and did all this shit. You are his biggest failure." Because, you were joking about it. You're like, he said it's his biggest failure when that little girl died when he was watching. But then when you think about it, I mean, Sam is the greatest failure. Anyone's greatest failure, really. He's a huge fucking failure.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
That one time I thought you'd at least, contain your stupidity and stay with that dog, but no, you just had to come back and release the darkness, and da-de-da. Good to stay with your fucking dog, Sam.
You ever think about running away from this again, Sam?
Because, just saying, you definitely should.
We always joke when we do that Sam voice, like he's a tiny child. We're like, "Oh, Sammy, but Dean, I went the bad, Dean. I set the devil loose, Dean. Like, this is that episode, like, he is the little whiny kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I liked that one, which was refreshing because I don't know, the few and far between that
It's
I really
nice to
enjoy.
see a better one once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I was invested in what was going on, and there was minimal assholishness and no torture scenes, so that was nice.
Yeah, they made the other. I guess there's only one other imaginary friend that did much, but they weren't assholes, at least like angels and
Yeah,
stuff. Always
yeah.
end up.
Well, it was a nice concept that they were a creature that basically their whole idea was that they just want to help people, and
Yeah,
they
which
established
in
that pretty.
reality you'd think should be a quality that would be attributed to angels, but not supernatural ones.
No, but they established that pretty well with Sully by, like, when they're investigating this case, how he's always asking how Sam is doing, even though he's an adult. He always asks like how he's doing, and is basically treating him like he is still that kid that he
Mm,
needs to make sure that he is taking care of him first.
yeah.
And that's kind of something that's absent in Supernatural a lot. It's funny when they do have these mean spirited jokes, but sometimes you can get kind of lost in the cynicism and kind of forget the heroic part of it.
Hmm.
I think that was what was nice. There was a little bit less cynicism in this episode, I guess.
It's good to see a character who's just genuinely nice in the show again.
Yeah. Well, and Sam seemed nice too, in that he was apologizing to him. He
Yeah,
was
that he
kind of
actually apologized for that and stuff, that he cared about this guy.
yeah, he cared about him. He wasn't like the whole thing with Dean, where he's just like, "You guys aren't real. You're just imaginary, whatever." But then Sam was kind of like treating him like, "I'm sorry. When I was a kid, I was an asshole too. I should
Mm.
have done that." So after that was "Oh brother, where art thou?" And there was a lot of stupid shit going on here.
Oh
Where do we
boy.
begin?
Uh, well, between these two and the first one we watched in this group, it feels like there's a missing episode that tells us what the fuck happened here because
Yeah. Seemed like they just
suddenly
jumped
the
forward.
darkness has gone to her final pokey evolution and she's grown up, which we just apparently were skipping. I didn't know we were going to just skip one of her stages, but all right.
I don't get, like, there was that thing that I heard that she was gonna be like a fan favorite, but then she's just some woman. I don't know if she's gonna change form at some point, or that was just a misdirect or a weird rumor, but yeah. She's just the woman we saw at the beginning, so which makes this lead up even dumber because we
I
saw
didn't.
exactly what she was gonna look
Yeah,
like
I
when she was
forgot
introduced.
you'd heard that, so I wasn't surprised when it was her. But
Yeah, I guess I just assumed they would do something a little more surprising than she's that woman you saw already.
hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, it just felt like a waste of time. Like, all right, well, she's gonna come back, not as the thing Dean saw, but she has to get her little digivolving going and stuff till she gets back to that form. It's like, all right, so now we're back to where we were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just seemed like that was just there to fill time.
Pretty much. And especially with the way they're throwing everything away, because now Crowley is just, oh yeah, my bad guys, we need to team up because of the darkness. Like, all right, that's quite the contrast. Like they just call him up too. Like Sam and Dean just
Yeah.
call him up. Like, oh, let's call Crowley and see what he's up to. And he's like, hey guys, I'm just watching the game, but I can come over.
Yeah, it's back to. The other thing, too, about this episode, just reiterates my point that, like, everyone is so chummy. Like, they're so chummy with all of the villains. Like, there's literally no suspense whatsoever. Like, every single one. They have a lot of villains in this episode, and they were, like, all season big bads at one point. But they're
Mhm.
just chummy. Like, you got,
Yeah.
like, them and Crowley, which is always chummy. You get Rowena back. You get Amara, where Dean's just talking to Field with her, and they're just chummy. And then you get the return of Lucifer at the end, which we will get to. But they're all just chummy, again. It does not feel like anyone's in any danger.
Yeah, it's sad.
Crowley gets Rowena.
Fairly easily, just off screen.
Yeah. By the
Cause
way, what's she been doing? I don't know. Fucking around
no,
somewhere?
just a joke.
What was the point of her? It seemed like she was supposed to be a villain at one point, but she's done literally nothing.
Yeah. Like with Crowley though, like where he actually was trying to kill Dean in that other one, and they just flipped the reset switch basically on that ever happening. The fact that they just call him up, that makes the chumminess even more silly. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, it seems like we're going in the he's bad direction here, actually siding against them, and then nope. Next time you see him, they're back to best friends.
Yep. Just
So,
like no fallout to that whatsoever. Like it's just pointless.
no, you wouldn't even know it happened because this feels like it's coming off of an episode where different events happened. It does not feel like this is continuing that story from that first one.
No, it doesn't because it just feels like this is what the whole season would have been leading up to. Like if you saw this episode by itself out of context and you didn't see the rest of the season before this, you would
Mhm.
think like, "Oh, this was the lead up to this," because this was like the climactic before the break finale where it's like
Yeah.
they have like a break until January and this is like, "Oh, until next year,
Season.
you're the climax." But it just feels like they just rushed into it because they spent no time on interesting things in the plot prior to this, and it
It's
just
really
feels
weird.
jumping the gun.
It is suddenly she's grown up. All right, why not?
Hmm.
Suddenly that's gone. Suddenly Crowley's parenting crap is just written out. All right.
Yeah, it feels like they changed their mind,
Yeah.
like always. Like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, like they did with that whole Hannah and Castiel crusade for the angels or whatever. Actually, no.
You know what I?
Popcorn.
You know what I don't get? Like Sam is, he decides he keeps getting these visions through the season. I don't think we even mentioned this before, but this is the payoff to it. He keeps getting
We
these
did
visions.
mention that he's getting these Hellraiser like visions.
Oh, okay. Well, he was getting these visions of him in the cage with Lucifer again. He thinks they are being sent to him by God. And I called it this episode because it's so obvious. It's like, okay, so Lucifer's just sending it to him? Like, why does he assume that God is sending him these messages to go into the cage and meet Lucifer? It's
Yeah.
obvious. It's like, alright, so it's probably Lucifer doing it. It's not like he's never called him in his head before. Surprise! That's what it was, because he's big dum dum.
Of course. All right. One of the big things is though, like they go to hell to go see Lucifer in the cage, which is where Adam is supposed to be.
Where the hell's Adam? Not in hell!
Yeah. He got out, did he? Like last time you even mentioned him Supernatural, which was actually not that long ago again at this point, since you decided to actually bring it up. You said, oh yeah, he's still stuck in that cage with Lucifer. Oh, but I guess he gets weekends off. I don't know where he is.
This was so easy to get there, by the way. Like, it's just, they capture Rowena within the span of all of this episode. This all sounds like this is plot from a lot of episodes, but this is all from just this one. They bring Rowena in. She's been gone for a while, and they're like, hey, by the way, we need the Book of the Damned to get the cage open and talk to Lucifer, I guess. And then she's like, okay, I'll translate this. Oh, hey, I got it within 2 seconds. All right, let's go. We're going to hell. Next scene, we're in hell. All right. Then we're gonna say the spell, and then they're there, and then there's Lucifer, and he looks like Mark Pellegrino again. Why does he look like him when he wasn't
Yeah,
even in him when he went into the
yeah.
cage?
That
I don't know.
that's his. That was a vessel, guys. You don't remember the difference between a vessel or what the actual demon's supposed to look like most of the time, like,
I think my
or the angel. The guys fuck this up so often.
I think my favorite thing was when you made that Roomy joke, and then he made it right after you.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as he saw, a little bit after he saw Sam there, I said, "Oh, hey, Roomy," and then he said it.
It's like, pretty much called it. The joke is as stupid as our jokes now.
Yeah. haha, I'll joke about him saying something stupid. I'll actually say it. All right.
How bad is it in that cage, though? It seems like he's not having it that bad there. He's just sort of hanging out being bored.
Yeah, like you said, Sam had to have his memories wiped of being in there because it was so horrible. And when you see it, it's just all right. It doesn't. It's just a kind of crappy claustrophobic area with another guy.
You would think that this would trigger some memories, or it'd be kind of traumatic for him to go back there for this place that he spent that time in there. But it wasn't really. He's just sort of like, God sent me. I guess I'm okay. Wait, Lucifer tricked me. Oh.
I do like at least like there was like a little bit done to make hell look hellish this time. It wasn't enough, but it was something more than Supernatural usually does.
Yeah. It at least seemed like it could be a little scarier than like just here's some cells and or here's a line. The one where it's just this is a line and it's hell that people wait in line forever.
Yeah.
What?
We really saw some differing terrain, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it should look a little more disturbing than what we saw, especially at the part where you got the fucking Lucifer cage. That should be a little more intimidating than it was, but it was at least something.
It's the cage of eternal boredom.
Yeah. Oh man, sucks around here just because it's really dark and it's just constant lightning.
Yeah, it's like this is what Sam needed his memories wiped for.
Yeah,
What a
real.
wuss. But by the way, where was Castiel when he decides to go into hell with them?
Mm-hmm.
Did Castiel not want to help? He was at the bunker. Was he just watching TV in his room and they didn't knock on the door? He was just like, let's go off and do this?
Well, it's okay. They acknowledged how dumb it was in the other episode that they have this angel they'd never use, and then they're like, anyway, let's not use him.
Is Misha Collins even considered a main character anymore? Is he billed as like a main, or is he just supporting now?
I don't remember.
It's so weird. But while all this stuff in the cage is going on, this big build up, like dun 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 deal. Meanwhile, Dean talks in a field with Amara. That happens.
Yeah, I don't know what I expected, but thought maybe it'd be a little more interesting once they finally got to this point with them, because they've been building towards it so long, and then it's not that exciting.
Well, it's at first it sounds like an interesting idea that God is is the light and she is the darkness, and they were the same thing. But then when he created the earth and cast her out, he sort of gave up what he once was, which I don't know, was someone who just needed to eat souls or something. I don't know how they did that when he created people. I have no idea.
Yeah, she didn't have souls to eat back then, so
I have no idea. But like, it sounds kind of interesting that like she's like, this is what he's created, and I want to know, like, I want to talk to him face to face, but she doesn't really know how the world works. She's like, I just need to talk to God. What do you mean you guys never seen God? That's stupid. So it seems like that's an interesting idea, but then God loses the intrigue when we've already seen who God is on this show, and apparently it's some fan fiction writer. Like, we know that they've implied twice now, maybe even this season. Is that when Chuck came back? In that play or something? No, it wasn't the play.
that wasn't this season.
No, last season was the 200th episode. That's when he showed up again, right? Yeah. 200th or 250th? I think it was 200th.
I think it was 200.
Yeah. But when Chuck showed up again, both times they implied he was God. So it's like, okay, so if he's God, then it's lose a little bit of the mystery and intrigue about him being missing this whole time, huh?
Yeah, he was busy seeing plays, I guess.
He was busy seeing plays about Adam that doesn't show up in that cage. Meanwhile, the angels have a suit meeting, and then they decide to go and attack Amara. And it's like, oh, that was interesting. Not. She just kills them off. Cool.
Yeah, that gets God's attention, though, apparently. And he shoots a heaven cannon at her.
He didn't care about any of this other stuff, but then he's like, oh, my useless angels that get killed all the time anyway, but this time
Yeah,
3 of them were killed by her. I guess I'll smite you.
yeah. This is like we've seen angels get killed off in greater numbers than that, even, and
Yeah.
God hasn't shot any heaven cannons at anyone who's done that. But this time, ah!
They had the ending of that one season where all the angels were cast down from heaven. He
Yeah,
wasn't around for that.
yeah.
But he's just like, oh no, 3 randoms got killed.
Now I'm mad.
Now I'm mad.
I like that they had that group with more than 3 of them. They're like, yeah, but then only 3 of them showed up to attack her.
Yeah. The other ones chickened out. They really suck.
Like, let's do this. Actually, I'm not really for this. Let's go home.
Along the way, they slipped on some popcorn bags and they died.
Ah!
Ah, popcorn! What a mess. What a mess.
They've just been building there towards that Dean and Amara meetup when she was fully regrown again, and just it didn't have any interest that they were kind of um, teasing you with, pretending there's going to be.
It's not intriguing because, again, they're chummy with all of their villains.
Mhm.
So it's not like this is new territory, because sometimes on a show it's like, oh no, this is a villain, but maybe they're kind of chummy, and maybe this is sort of dangerous, but they're connected, but it just seems like that's basically what his relationship to Crowley was when he was having his cowboy hat drunken adventure going
Yeah.
on with him.
Mhm.
Except that one was more interesting than this with Amara, because it's like, okay, so they were connected because she was on his arm, and now she's a person. I don't know. Whatever.
Show just lately they just destroy any of their villains. Like, remember when Abaddon was something that seems somewhat threatening, and then it's just like, no, we'll just stab her really easily in a hotel room. That's the end of her.
That was the last season where it seemed like anything mattered. Like, now it just seems like everything's circling the drain. Like, who is the main villain? I don't know. I guess Amara.
Not when
but...
they killed her. That was the mess season.
No, that was a mess. But I mean, like, at least that season there was a build-up throughout the thing. Like, it seemed dangerous. With Amara, it doesn't. I guess she's the main villain, but I mean...
No, that one was just... It didn't know whether to focus on Booger or Abaddon the whole time. It kept changing it, and...
They did, yeah. It was completely a mess that they didn't focus on it, but it was more than we're getting now. Which is sad.
Because they completely were forgetting about both their plots. That one had its different problems that were just huge.
Well, it has the problem this season. There's a shit ton of
And
problems.
then that
but...
was also where they fucking stabbed Booger in an alleyway for their finale. So I mean, it wasn't that big.
Yeah, but you know, like this is a lot of shows do this. Like when they get into the later seasons, they just bring back their villains who were season long or more than one season long arcs, just as like evil chucklers every once in a while. You're like, this is such a pointless return. I don't know why. Why is Metatron still around? He was a big bad. Why is Rowena still around? She's a big bad. Crowley was a big bad. He's still around.
Rowena, though, almost
Lucifer.
had the piss taken out of her almost after she showed up. She's been a joke, like, almost immediately. And I do love that they're telling her, like, they gotta go down to see Lucifer, and that's why they're getting her to do this. She's like, whoa. She gives this look like, whoa, really? Lucifer? Like, that's a big deal. It's like, she's kind of like saying like, really? You guys took on Lucifer and then moved on to me?
Yeah. The anticlimactic follow-up. Oh, by the way, the show.
Oh, by the way, we just completely trust that you're doing the right spells over there, Rowena. Like, what?
Like, she used to mean something, now she's just sort of a means to an end. She can just go fanboy over, fangirl
She
over
honestly
Lucifer.
didn't even need to be there. I get the feeling it's just like, well, we need to include her in another one, so she has to do a spell here.
Well, she had the Book of the Damned, which was a big deal at one point, but now it's just like, hey, by the
Yeah,
way,
but
we
they
need you
didn't-
to use that.
You
Okay,
didn't
I will.
need to say that you needed that to get to hell. I mean, all you need was Crowley for that, but...
That's true.
They just invented a reason to include her for that.
Maybe they had to include her because she had so many episodes that she's contracted to
That's
be
what I
in.
was thinking. It was more like something like that. It's like, oh, we got to include Rowena in here somewhere. Let's do that.
So much of this in this episode that was glanced over was things that you should not glance over that should have been big deals but weren't.
Yeah,
Which is why it felt like you missed
Adam
something.
should have been down there.
Yeah, he should have been down there. It should have been like Adam was the one tricking Sam to get revenge.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Instead of just, oh, by the way, it was Lucifer. Like, oh, I could have told you that. I could, like, why did Sam automatically assume? It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I
like
guess God was sending me
unless
these
they
messages to
pull
go
a
to hell.
switcheroo on us when it comes back, and that it was Adam, then I'm just gonna be pissed. Because if it's him, then it's good. Because like you fucking forgot me down here. You left me down here. We're
Yeah.
brothers too. Just that would work.
I wish I wasn't spoiled on this. Someone tweeted me with a message about this episode before we'd watched it, where they were just like, "Guess who's coming back, Lucifer, but not Adam," and they photoshopped him in on the side, like. So I knew he wasn't gonna be there, but it's still stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hilarious, their refusal to acknowledge that character, even though they did acknowledge him, but their utter refusal even after that to use that character or acknowledge that it was a dick move to leave him there.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're so chummy with the King of Hell, they can just take a trip down there, like, for half a day. Like, let's just take a short trip to hell, but they can't bother to try and get their half-brother out of there.
No, because I can't do anything with that cage, even though it wasn't dangerous. I guess you need a spell even to get to talk to it or whatever.
Wasn't Crowley, he wanted Lucifer to go back in the cage anyway, right? He worked with them to get him back in there because he was scared of him?
Weird, because he wanted to have hell.
Because he wanted to take over hell.
He wanted to have that hell that he doesn't want to have.
He wanted that hell that he doesn't want.
He just wants that business in the asylum.
So why was he okay with going down there and summoning him again?
Because the darkness.
Because the darkness. That's
the reason they gave. I mean, he just said we go do this because the darkness would probably come to get him too. So
yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're just flip-floppy about his reasoning for everything.
Everything's so flip-floppy. Ugh. What a mess. I think out of the 4 that we watched, the worst was the first one. I think this one, even though it felt like we missed a lot, this last one, it was better than the first one.
Yeah. It definitely was.
Because, I mean, like,
there's
Mark
some
Pellegrino is a good actor. I like watching him, so, I mean, it was interesting to see him, even though there was nothing in it that was new. But
assholes, too.
So he is good, yeah.
Well there.
Yeah. Well, and you're not sick to death of him, like fucking Mark Shepard. Just get out of here.
There's at least something with Amara, too. I wish it had been a better payoff with her and Dean, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so it felt like, it felt like you were missing something, but at least there were elements of things there. My favorite out of the 4 was still that, imaginary friend one. I like that one a lot.
I hope he appears to Sam while he's in the cage, like, oh, dude. Even I saw that one coming.
I hope that there's never a follow-up with this character, because that was a nice episode and they'll ruin it. They'll kill him, or they'll do something stupid like the trickster.
Or they'll say they were evil the whole time.
You know what? That's exactly it. He'll come back and he'll turn out to be evil, because that's what they do. They bring back a character you liked and they were evil, or they die, or both.
In fact, imaginary friends were angels the whole time. Cause what the fuck isn't?
No, please never follow up with that character, show. Please leave him as he was. I'm fine with that. I don't need a hollow follow-up.
A murderous follow-up.
A murderous follow-up.
That's what I thought was gonna happen to what's her face when she showed up in that day.
Donna, yeah.
I thought she was dead, so no, she survived again. Time.
Yeah. They're leaving some people to
Better
kill
hope
them
she
off
doesn't
later.
reappear too much.
Yeah. Well, once Lucifer gets out, he'll take care of her.
Who's still alive that you guys knew?
Oh God! Oh no! Oh my!
Get rid of her, Sheriff Mills and Garth. They're dead.
Yeah, Castiel's daughter, whatever.
I
Jimmy's
guess.
daughter.
Yeah, she's appeared a couple times now, dead.
Dead. So yeah, any conclusions?
Up Poop Creek.
Up Poop Creek. You heard it here, folks. I don't think we've complained enough about this. Gosh, this is gonna be an edit.